Let's pretend each country in the world is a guest at a party. What are they doing at the party? Finland has drank themselves to the point where social awkwardness has been replaced with an urgent need to tell everyone about all the times they beat Sweden in ice hockey. Netherlands is making sure everyone has paid their share in expenses by sending out Venmos. Edit, I know the Dutch use tikkies. I just used Venmo because it's probably the most universally understood word for a small payment transfer app. Not outside. At the kitchen window, with a glass of wine, pretending they're going to help once they finish their cigarette, only to chat with the other guests looking to vent about another country. Listening just enough to start long monologues psychoanalyzing every relationship at the party. Always ending up in endless debates with their oldest frenemies when everyone else got bored or pissed off. The Polynesian islands are all aunties sitting on the ground with food stacked on their plates, all gossiping to each other about the famous auntie, Hawaii, that is singing on stage. Germany is trying to convince everyone that they are in fact funny and stands next to the trash can scolding people for not separating their rubbish properly. They've put their towel on the chair closest to the buffet before anyone else was there. Lamau, I was walking through my neighborhood, and my Mexican neighbors were having a huge fucking party. They invited me in. I tried to get out of it because it was like 11 p.m., but they insisted. Next thing I know, I'm doing shots of tequila and eating off a somehow self-replenishing plate, and everyone was going hard. I finally snuck out around 2 a.m., and they were still at it. It occurred to me the next day that I had no idea what the party was for. When I ran into them a couple days after that, I asked and was told that their grandson had turned 2. So, your comment seems accurate. I worked in Lake Louise in 2001 at a hotel. The head manager of the entire hotel was Italy, I think, and his second in command, not sure of his official title, was a German guy named Dieter. Dieter was actually pretty chilled, but man was he exacting and anal about certain things. One night the sum of the staff were having this huge, ruckus party in the staff accommodations, and I was woken up, not by the drunken partying, but hearing Dieter screaming in a very loud voice, "This is Dieter, you are in the quiet hour, you must stop your drinking." I don't know, now that I write it out is not all that funny, but at the time, with his accent, and the whole ridiculousness of the situation, it was funny. Out on the lawn, Nigeria and Ghana are joined by all their pals. Ethiopia, Big Congo, Little Congo, Tanzania, South Africa, Kenya, Uganda, Angola, Mozambique, Cameroon, Madagascar, Ivory Coast, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, Malawi, Zambia, Senegal, Chad, Somalia, Zimbabwe, South Sudan, Rwanda, Guinea, Burundi, Benin, Sierra Leone, Togo, Central African Republic, Liberia, Mauritania, Namibia, Gambia, Botswana, Gabon, Lesotho, Guinea-Bissau, Equatorial Guinea, Mauritius, Eswatini, Djibouti. Meanwhile, USA and Canada are all like, does anybody even know those guys? While Belgium, France and England try to avoid eye contact. France is chatting with the elite and brought her own food. She spends lots of time criticizing the artwork and furniture in the room. After a few glasses of champagne, she threatens to guillotine the UK. If New Zealand is hosting, we're apologizing about the weather and the behavior of the Aussies, neither of which are under our control. South Africa is out on the barbecue braai drinking an ungodly amount of brandy and will most likely still be one of the last people standing at the end along with Australia. Portugal is happily inviting new arrivals to eat. It doesn't know if they're countries or not, or if they were even invited. There's plenty to go round. This has the unfortunate side effect of many things going missing over the course of the evening. Portugal also keeps trying to coerce partygoers into drinking the port wine it made specially, secretly hoping to get everyone so blind drunk it can leave early to catch the football without anyone noticing. Spain and Portugal both keep turning the TV back on during dinner, even though nobody, including them, is bothering to watch it. They like the ambient TV buzz. And keeps handing Ukraine baseball bats and empty beer bottles. Russia keeps complaining that it's having a hard time harassing Ukraine and claims it's also fighting the US despite Ukraine using the tools to great effect. The US isn't allowed to throw any punches because once they do, like 20 other people are gonna have to hop in the fight, and all of them, including Russia and the US, brought guns to the party, so it's best be left alone. Canada is making polite and friendly conversation, ensuring that everyone feels included and being mindful and inclusive of everyone's differences. Charming as he is performative, putting on his best act to fool people into believing him to be the kinder, more amiable and more civilized brother of the USA, when in truth he couldn't care less about anyone and just came in to network and boost his image. Having lived in America and a few not America places, no one seems to dislike America more than Americans. I'm originally from Canada, and I think we generally all have a pretty positive opinion on the USA. I would literally have to be defending America. When talking to Americans, lol. Nah, I feel like Canada's downing plenty of cheap beer and getting real chatty with everyone. Like, genuinely friendly but also kind of a close talker, and keeps inviting people over to his place because he's got so much space. The trick is that when you get there, there's lots of space but no furniture to get comfortable on, and it was expected that you bring something to donate from your place to help keep the party going. Germany used to pick fights at every party to the point where she wasn't invited anymore. Now she's back and very soft-spoken and happy to explain to everyone how the anger management classes and therapy really turned her life around. Iceland would be the attractive but shy girl who suddenly is getting a lot of admiration and attention but isn't quite able to handle it, that or she doesn't show up until 1 a.m. when she bankrupts herself and drinks to total blackout. Brazil is dancing and shaking its ass in a sexually suggestive manner, singing and talking, drunk shouting, very loudly, trying desperately to attract everyone's attention so they can show how they are the happiest people in the world, and you should all stop being so cold and uptight and join us in celebrating our culture, which is the best in the world. Iceland is friendly, and handsome in a slightly unnerving kind of way, but insecure, tries to suck up to the US, but keeps talking about itself. As the party goes on, it gets too drunk, first on beers with the Belgians, Germans, and Czechs, but later gets into those licorice schnapps drinks with Denmark and Finland and gets way too drunk and belligerent. It finally falls asleep on the floor, hugging a fish it brought for some reason. That sounds like a Midwestern American dad to me. Probably a solid representative to send to a global party. Pretty affable dude, only mildly racist but mostly out of lack of experience with other cultures. Probably went to Mexico once on spring break 20 years ago, but that's about it. Brought a case of Coors Light and only once rock from the 60s and 70s on the stereo. Close, it's all 80s rock. He rolled up in a Trans Am and he brought Coors Light and Miller Lite out of consideration that some people have different tastes. He also brought his own grill utensils, they're all monogrammed and they came in a carrying case. Britain is a married couple, one demands they both leave the party and the other is forced to go along with their spouse even though they were really enjoying the party. They're now standing sheepishly in the rain waiting for a taxi, with the leaver claiming the rain is the party host's fault. I worked in Lake Louise in 2001 at a hotel. The head manager of the entire hotel was Italy, I think, and his second in command, not sure of his official title, was a German guy named Dieter. Dieter was actually pretty chilled, but man was he exacting and anal about certain things. One night the sum of the staff were having this huge, ruckus party in the staff accommodations and I was woken up, not by the drunken partying, but hearing Dieter screaming in a very loud voice, "This is Dieter, you are in the quiet hour, you must stop your drinking." I don't know, now that I write it out is not all that funny, but at the time, with his accent, and the whole ridiculousness of the situation, it was funny.